Hi, Painting One class. I just wanted to hop on here and we're going to talk a little bit more about the cherry blossom tree and do a little bit of a large demo together. So again, I hope everybody can see what I'm doing. I've tried to get everything set up where you can kind of see. Now, out on Google Classroom, I do have an image of the different types of brushes that you could use with this painting. We're not going to use everything, but listed on here, you have the comb brush, the angular, the shader, the large square flat brush, the bristle fan, but you can go ahead and take a look. Again, we are not going to be using all of these brushes for our design. I actually switch back and forth in between the round, the square. You could even, depending if you have one of these handy at home, but there is a larger flat brush, which works really nice for doing your backgrounds of your image. But again, we're going to make do with whatever you've got handy at home. So here are just some of the brushes that I have. Another thing you could use is just a palette scraper here. So with this, you could even use, if you have like an old plastic Walgreens keychain card where they scan it, or any Dunkin' Donuts or whatever it is, you can make do with that too. That would be fine. And then for the rest of my setup, I do have just a small little palette here, and I've got some shades of blue already mixed up and some titanium white. You could go ahead and use a paper plate if you've got one of those handy. And sometimes I actually like to do color mixing with another palette just off to the side. Again, it could be two different paper plates. This is just what I had handy here. A small little water container. It doesn't have to be anything fancy. And then some paper towel just to clean off your brushes in between color. Go ahead and grab just a sheet of that. Okay, on your canvas, I'm going to lift this so you can kind of see it better. On your canvas, I went ahead and I drew in, I think my camera's working all right here. I just drew in an outline of the tree I would like to recreate. So I'm just imagining the tree itself. I do have a picture of this posted on Google Classroom too, but just with a regular pencil. And I'm going to kind of darken this down so you can see it on the camera here. And I just drew in some basic trunks of the cherry tree. And I might go up here and extend that a little bit further. So I'm just drawing in 3 basic trunks of a cherry tree. Again, it doesn't have to be perfect, but for this design, it is nice to have one kind of flow off to the side. I'm not finishing the trunks up here because a lot of this is going to be covered in with the different leaves. And then I might add in just a little hint of where I want my horizon line to be. So I'm going to darken this down so you can see it. On your canvas, you don't have to go this dark, and in the end, we're going to be painting over the top of this. This is just for placement ideas. And then down at the very bottom, let's move it so you can see it. There we go. I did just a mirror reflection of the same trunks that I drew above. So I'm just going to reflect whatever I have going on up here down to the bottom. And then again, with that arching branch that's kind of coming up and over, I'm just giving little hints of where I want my placement to be. So in the end, it looks something like this. Let's see if I change the lighting, if you'll be able to see that better. There we go. It's a little bit better. So just your basic placement. Turn that back up a little bit. There we go. And then I'm going to go ahead and start mixing my colors. So I want this to be more of a serene, impressionist painting. So for the background, I'm going to go ahead and apply a mix of the royal blue, any one you've got handy, and quite a bit of titanium white to create that background sky. So with this design, we really want to focus in on having a cohesive, natural look. So just a soft gradient happening up into the sky. And I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit of water to my paints so I avoid kind of that toothy, brushy look. I just want it to be very soft and subtle gradient from blue to white and then back down to blue. And we'll talk about this as we go again. So I'm going to grab my palette, and I think I'm just going to grab one of these old acrylic brushes here, and I'm going to mix up. I might just take a little bit of this here, just some of that blue that you have at home, so you can kind of see it. I'm just going to grab, this is one of the bright blue acrylic paints, and then I'm going to dip into my white. I'm going to add a little bit here, and I'm going to mix that up fully so that the white is fully mixed into the blue. And the white is just a titanium, I think this is apple barrel white. So once you have a color the way you like it, you're going to go ahead and start applying it to your page. And because I kind of want it a little bit darker at the top, I'm actually going to go ahead and do 2 sections. So one that's a little bit darker off to the side here, and one that's another shade or a lighter version. If I put this here, you can still see it. And then I'm going to add a little bit of water just to loosen up my paints a little bit. And then I'm going to go ahead to my canvas and actually right over the top of my pencil lines. Again, that was just for basic placement. I'm going to start adding in what I imagine the sky to be. And I think I might go in, this one's a little chunky on me, might have gotten old. I'm just going to add a little bit more of this pure blue just to the top. The skies are never 100% one color, and I actually like with paintings to have some different varieties of colors. If it feels like it's drying out on you, go ahead and add some more water in. But we just want a nice light coating. It's going to be a little bit darker to the top and then lighter as we get into more of our horizon line. I'm going to start adding in a little bit of that white. And just bringing those 2 colors together so they have a softer gradient. And I'm going to tip my canvas so you can see. Now, one of the other things I like to do is have a piece of paper under my canvas so I don't have to worry so much about the cleanup afterwards. So you can kind of see that gradient starting to happen. I'm just working that paint right into the canvas. And as I get closer to my horizon line, I'm adding a little bit of white in with my color and just lightening that down. Add a little water. Well, my palettes tend to get pretty messy because I just like to mix and go. Now, if an area gets too dark too fast, all you got to do is dip back into your white, give it a little mix off to the side and back onto your palette, or I'm sorry, onto your canvas. So I'm just creating just a soft, natural sky gradient, dark to light. And if this dark up at the top isn't dark enough, you can just take your pigment right over to it. And darken down some of the areas. Okay. So that's a pretty nice background. I'm pretty happy with that. I think I could go in and just cover up some more of the grain of the canvas itself by working some more pigment into it. And I'm just going to add some white down here, kind of give it a soft, natural glow. Make sure you're getting all the way up to your edges. And if you just got to turn it, and then you can blend any colors that might have gotten onto the rest of the canvas. Just working it in. think I'm gonna go ahead and add just a little shake. Because this color here is a little on the chunky side. It might have dried up at some point. Let's see what this one looks like. Not too bad. I just want to darken up that top rim yet. So I'm going to grab some of this and bring it over. And I'm just going to darken up that top rim. So that would be the sky area. Now I'm going to let kind of that sit and dry as I go in to work on the bottom water where I know I want to have a reflection showing. So this bottom area is then going to become my darkest blue, and I'm going to work again into that lighter blue as I get closer to my horizon line. I still want to have a nice soft gradient to it. So I'm just going to go and choose one of my blues. I think this is the darkest one here, so I'm just going to grab that and bring it over. Again, my palettes get pretty messy because I'm just mixing and going right over to the canvas. But I want this bottom area to now become my darkest. I'm going to turn it so you can see. There we go. And same kind of thing, I'm going to go over the top of where I put my placements and just kind of bring that up to where the sky meets the ground. So here's my darkest, going down on the very bottom. I'm taking the time to make sure that I'm getting to the edges of my canvas and I'm hiding the tooth. So you can see like right in here, some of those canvasy marks are starting to show up. So I just want to work my bristles back and forth, just in a sweeping motion, right up to those sides. And then I'm going to go in and bring some of my white. And I'm just mixing this up. So I got an in-between shade. And notice as I'm working, I don't have so much paint that it's dripping off the end of my brush. I'm just working nice and clean here. A nice shade in between, again, up over the top of my placement. Now I can bring some more white in. So I'm creating another value, another layer. And if I feel like it's not light enough, I could go right into the white and just bring that and let it mix together right on the canvas. So now I'm just kind of in a sweeping fashion. We're bringing that white and working into the rest right down here. So I've got a clear division. I still want this to be my darkest area. I just want to get a little bit more white in here, so I'm going to place a few little dollops of white so it looks different from that sky. So I want this to become a reflective base. Now I set that down and try to hold this up so you can see it. So down at the bottom, my darkest blue, and then back again up at the top of the sky here, a medium blue. And where the two come together, that's what I'm imagining to be my lightest area where it's going to be reflecting the most off the lake. So this would be preparing just the background of your canvas. I'm going to go ahead and pause the video here. I'm trying to keep these a little bit short. And then we will continue on with the next steps of developing the trees and getting those worked into the background.